Some say they were deliberately provoked, but two American jihadists took the bait and became martyrs for their cause. The men tried to attack a gathering in Garland, Texas. The event, a contest for cartoonists to draw pictures of Muhammad. Well, Elton Simpson and Nadir Sufi were killed by police after they opened fire with assault rifles. The security guard suffered a minor wound. Well, the bigger casualty was America's sense of security. One of the attackers had expressed enthusiasm for Isil online, and Isil was quick to claim him as one of their own. But the question was he? Or was this a lone wolf attack inspired by social media? FBI Director James Comey says Isil is using the internet to actively recruit potential terrorists across the country. In his words, it's like the devil sitting on their shoulders saying, kill, kill, kill. Well, joining me now to discuss this is political columnist and media strategist Michael Brooks. Michael, welcome. Look, we've witnessed Charlie Hebdo. We've seen things in the past. This is nothing new. These folks had to know that something perhaps might happen. You think that this was something that they just brought up thinking or hoping something would happen? I mean, after all.
I think they were clearly hoping something would happen. I don't think anybody hopes to get killed. But the game that these people are playing, like Pamela Geller and all of these other people that really, first of all, they actually make a lot of money in this sort of Islamophobia game. Mm-hmm. And this attack played into their narrative. There's no doubt about it. What
we have here, and we witnessed this also with Charlie Hebdo, is the issue of free speech or the issue of hate speech. Mm-hmm. And where do you cross the line, in your opinion?
Well, there are two really important distinctions here. First is free speech is its own sort of trajectory. So we have to protect that as a legal and political question. But then there's a civic question and a question of who we are as a community and what kind of empathy we want to show. That is a much more complicated conversation. And this sort of like, well, we just have to do it because that's free speech. Is incredibly unhelpful in a process of community building. It undermines our security. And then the second thing that I just want to kind of note, because I think it's always important to bring into this conversation, journalists are dying all over the Middle East, South Asia, and in Muslim regions in Africa. Muslim journalists exposing human rights violations, exposing governments, exposing terrorist movements. These people are fighting for free speech quite literally and quite actively. That needs to be brought in mind as well.
And they're dying for it as
That's
well.
right.
I guess the other word that comes to mind for me is morality. Mm-hmm. And when you have a situation like this, where are morals when it comes to the profession of journalism and also trying to, I guess, prove a point?
Right. No, I think, look, obviously, when we're talking about people like Pamela Geller, and I really wish, just even in my position as an analyst, I never had to use her name, frankly. Mm-hmm. I mean, this sort of work that she does is bottom feeding, it's bigoted, and it's wrong. Obviously, terrorism and attacks are wrong, and we need to get into a position politically and civically where we move away from all of this.
You know as well as I do, Michael Brooks, that the extremists always get the attention. Right. Whether here in the United States, it's the extreme right or the extreme left, and you have all these people in the middle, and I'll say this, called the moral majority, and they don't get the word. Mm-hmm. What can be done to quell the voices, if at all, of the extremists that seem to be dominating the media these days?
Well, I may be a charming, hopefully, member of the quasi-extreme left, but at any rate, I think that that's a very important point when it comes to, again, these more sort of civic questions. Mm-hmm. Most people want to live in open communities. They want to respect their neighbors. They might even be curious. Oh, you have a different background, you have a different religion, you have a different way of going about things. That's a good thing. I think most people are interested in that. I think most people don't want to demonize Muslims or other new immigrant communities, although obviously there are a lot of people that do, and there's a fear of otherness that even if you're well-intentioned is going to show up as well.
The end game here, Geller certainly has one. I don't know whether or not she's achieving it at all at this particular point in time, but this really doesn't seem to have a good end if this continues to go on.
No, it's a parasitic kind of reciprocal process, and especially these types of attacks, because I think it's very important to make a distinction between troubled people who might be inspired by disgusting things online and engage in lone wolf attacks. But these are not sort of hardened terrorist operatives. We really need to disaggregate. There are groups that pose legitimate security threats.
Right.
This is more analogous to something like a school shooting, an office shooting. Horrible, dangerous, wrong, but a very different category than terrorism. And as long as these two cycles feed into each other, we're in for a lot more problems.
That'll have to be the last word. Michael Brooks, thank you so much for your insight.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.